everyone! In today's recap, we are covering the first episode of Kaiju No8. Stick to the end to see how this story takes an unprecedented turn. Enjoy! Peace! During an unusual patrol in the city, Alpha 2 team contacts the command center saying there's nothing to report. In another part of the city, a kaiju emerges from the water and begins to wreak havoc. The city enters a state of emergency and the military arrives at the scene. The helicopter opens fire, but the kaiju is not bothered. The 3rd Division anti-kaiju soldiers are deployed and continue firing at the monster, dealing significant damage. A soldier takes aim and fires a powerful weapon, destroying the monster instantly. Kafka observes the mess that the 3rd Division squad did around the area and complains that he is going to have to do a lot of overtime. On his way to the monster, he encountered a parade celebrating the 3rd Division squad's victory. The underappreciated and disregarded cleaning crew begin their work of sanitizing the streets and cutting down the corpse for disposal. Kafka says that every time the 3rd Division fights, they always leave a mess like this. To make things worse, they have to finish the cleanup by the end of the week. Despite the daunting task, the crew continues to work. However, Kafka's boss assigns him the unpleasant task of cleaning up the intestines. Kafka reluctantly accepts the assignment and begins his work. Arriving home, Kafka still struggles to rid his nostrils of the lingering stench. As he tunes into the news, they're highlighting Captain Mina Ashiro's remarkable achievements, becoming a captain at just 27 years old and single-handedly taking down over 100 kaiju. Watching the report, Kafka recalls a promise he made to a young Mina Ashiro, pledging to eradicate kaijus together. But reality has veered far from that dream. The following morning, Kafka arrives and his crewmate introduces him to a new employee, Ichikawa. He tells Kafka that Ichikawa is looking to join the defense force just like he wanted to do, but ended up giving up. Ichikawa asked why did he quit. The question hit him hard, but with a nervous smile, Kafka said that despite trying his hardest, it wasn't enough. He adds that there's always someone better than you, and it's fine to give up, and perhaps when he's older, he will understand. Ichikawa disagrees because he will never give up, and he would rather die before doing that. Irritated by Ichikawa's unwavering determination, Kafka found himself making excuses, trying to justify his decision for quitting. As the crew gathers at the cleaning site, they begin to divide tasks among the team of workers. The boss assigns Ichikawa to the unpleasant job of cleaning up the intestines, much to Kafka's satisfaction. However, Kafka finds himself assigned to the same task. During lunch, Kafka teases Ichikawa about not being accustomed to the foul stench, though he himself is struggling with it. However, Kafka notices that Ichikawa hasn't eaten, so he offers him a vitamin pack to get through the day and some nose plugs. Politely, Ichikawa refuses, but Kafka doesn't listen and insists by attempting to shove the plugs into him. The cleaning crew continue their duty throughout the day, and at the end of the shift, Ichikawa approaches Kafka and expresses his gratitude for helping him. He says that due to a lack of young applicants, the defense force has increased the age limit to 33, suggesting that he should join. Ichikawa told him that he looked unhappy, despite saying that giving up is okay. Kafka saw a glimmer of hope thanks to him. Suddenly, Kafka spots a Yoju looming behind Ichikawa, ready to attack. Reacting instinctively, Kafka leaps to shield Ichikawa, but in the process, he passes out. Ichikawa, barely conscious, tries to locate the Yoju but is almost attacked again. Acting quickly, Kafka manages to push Ichikawa out of harm's way and urges him to flee and call the defense force. Reluctantly, Ichikawa obeys and departs. Kafka gets the monster's attention to follow him in the opposite way. Kafka runs until he sees a building that can be used as cover. He gets into safety and then jumps through the window. As he's midair, he remembers seeing Mina crying and saying how everything is gone. Young Kafka curses the kaiju for destroying everything and not letting him finish playing his video game. Mina says that everything happened so fast and she was not able to save her cat. Both children observe the destruction and, filled with anger and determination, say that they will join the defense force and see who will be the coolest officer and promise to destroy all the kaijus together. Kafka continues to run, saying that his life wasn't supposed to turn out like this. He grabs a pipe and faces the monster, but is slapped into oblivion and smacked against the floor like a mosquito. With a broken leg and unable to escape, he accepts his fate. Ichikawa slices the Yoju's face, stopping it from eating his senpai. Kafka tells him to run away so he can become a defense force officer, but Ichikawa says that if he leaves him to die in that spot, he has no place in the force. The Yojo attacks and Ichikawa tries to block it, but is futile. Kafka tries to crawl and make himself useful, but just like before, he feels powerless. Filled with frustration, all he can do is scream. Suddenly, a tiger appears out of nowhere and bites the creature. Shortly after, the monster is filled with holes and destroyed in seconds. Mina reports that the monster has been taken down, and without saying hello or anything to her old friend, she leaves and has her teammates take care of the wounded. At the hospital, Kafka couldn't help but to admire how cool Mina has become and also admits that she has left him in the dust. Ichikawa interrupts his thought to thank him for saving his life and making the right call in such a dire situation. He then said that he was really cool and he should really consider joining the force. Kafka thanks him for his motivation and says he will give it a shot, but while staring at his hand, he sees a wing fluttering behind it. A kaiju appears in front of him and says, "Found you." And before he could say a word, the creature goes into his mouth. Ichikawa hears Kafka agonize in pain and opens the curtain and sees a monster sitting where Kafka is supposed to be. Freaking out, Kafka tells Ichikawa that it's him. An old man passes by and immediately calls the defense force. Kafka and Ichikawa realize what that means and begins to run away. After all that commotion, we see a memory of a young Mina and Kafka studying how to defeat kaijus. Mina says it's really scary to fight something so much bigger than her. Kafka reassures her by saying that he will be by her side all the time. The adult Mina calls him a liar and picks up a call reporting the appearance of a kaiju at the hospital. She confirms that she and her team will take care of the creature.